Peace and blessings, brothers and sisters. Alpha Quabo. Let me make sure everything's okay now. Now we totally live. So peace and blessings one more time. Alpha Quabo, aka show here at Radio Diamond TV. Every single week from approximately 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, bringing the best of ourselves, bringing love, bringing unity. And remember, this is a spiritual show. This ain't got to do with emotion. This is a spiritual show. It's to tap into your spirituality. Because when you step into this station, when you step into this TV, it's about the African family worldwide. That's what it's about. Remember, this is our parliament. This is our village. This is our town. This is the place we're bringing all of our ancestors together with our leaders that they're still alive. They're still doing the legacy. They still carry out the work while they're still alive. That's why we're doing this show, to bring the best of ourselves. And today, we're going to be having a special show. So I need you to tune in on this one. I need you to promote. Let the family know that we're totally live. Because remember, we're giving to you in all level. TV-wise, radio-wise. For my family on Facebook, I know you live too. I'm giving to you too. So spread the word. We're not just relying on Zuckerberg, because we know. So that is why we're taking to the whole new level. And for my brothers and sisters in Jamaica, press play. For my brothers and sisters in South Africa, press play. Remember, we're recording these shows and we're giving to the community on the DVD, because we understand at times we don't have internet in Africa. So that's why we're going to the grassroots. That's what we're doing. We're taking to the elders. This is a cake that we're baking for yourself as a people worldwide. So Alpha Quabo, I'm a spiritual son of Queen Zinga, and today I'm totally just a prince because we're going to be having elders here. So, to start off our show, before we ask the permission to one of the elders to speak out, I need 1 minute silence. So what you're going to be seeing your screen, if you tuning in on the radio Diamond TV and on the social network, you're going to be see a picture of all few of our ancestors passing to your screen. But I need you now to just, you stay silent. 1 minute silence. We'll start with these beats. You're going to hear the beat on the background, and you're going to see pictures of your ancestors, of our ancestors, so you understand what we're talking about. So right now, the 1 minute silence is start. Right. So, wow. Brothers and sisters, one more time. It's such an amazing to be here today, bringing to you the best of ourselves. So I want you now to look at your screen to understand who we're going to be having today. So we're going to be having a very, very special guest today to break it down. This topic that we're going to be asking you. And we want you to break it down and leave your comments. So we're going to be having this elder that you see in your screen right now. We're going to be having this amazing princess that you're going to be seeing your screen right now. And we save this great personality that you're going to be seeing in a few seconds right now. So I will now ask, I want the panel to leave your mic on. So I will ask Baba Smalls if, bring my camera. So I need my camera. So I will ask, even though I already gave the introduction, but I still, because obviously to open up the conversation, I need to ask the elder. So I will ask Baba Smalls if I can proceed the conversation today.
I didn't hear you. You asked me. Yes, please.
So, brothers and sisters, let me make sure the screen is totally wider. Yes, Baba gave me the permission to talk now. So I will be the moderator today to ask questions. So first of all, before we start the show, we start anything, give us the few, Baba Small. Obviously, we're going to be doing the libation. Help us to understand why it's important to pay respect to all those who came before us, and obviously to do the ritual that you're about to do right now, Baba Smalls.
Well, a libation is a tribute to both the creator of the universe, which is always first, but you never pour the water to the creator. You only raise the container. And then you pour to our mother, the earth, out of which all of us arose, as we give respect to our ancestors. Sometimes I know people make libation like a glorious dissertation. That's not what it is. It is a very short, sacred moment to give respect to God, to give respect to ancestors, and to ask permission of them to let us be successful at the deed that we are undertaking. That's the purpose.
Wow. So, if that's the case, Professor, I need you. I need you to proceed with libation, if you don't mind, please.
Yes, and the other thing is libation is poured only once, and it is always the opener. Once that's done, it's done. So I will proceed. I will first raise the liquid I'm using is water. Of course, in Africa, we use stronger spirits, to the Almighty Divine Creator of the universe, of which we are a part and an expression of its essence. Ashe?
Ashe.
Ashe.
And then I will pour to Mother Earth, whose mineral makes up our bodies. Ashe?
Ashe. Ashe.
We're going to be talking about our great queen, Nzanga, today. So I will call on the spirit of Nzanga to come and be with us today. Ashe?
Ashe.
Ashe.
And then I will call on the great spirits of Congo and Angola, all of those many millions who were given birth to and transition at home, or were given birth to and transition in the diaspora. Because especially in America, we carry Congo blood, Angola blood first. Ashe?
Ashe.
Ashe.
I will call on all of our primary ancestors to help us deliver a message of value and of worth to our people. We're not here to entertain you. I am not an entertainer. The Queen is not an entertainer. We are here to try and instruct and inform and impart bodies of information from the knowledge of the ancestors that will be useful in our working towards our freedom. Ashe.
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 Brothers and sisters, as you can see right now, this is a part of our ritual, because remember, this is our village, and then we're having the full representation of our kingdom, of our African nation right here. Because remember, Africa is within us. No matter if you were born in a continent, no matter if you're born in Jamaica, United States, no matter if you're born in the UK, as long as you got melanin in your body, you belong to the African continent. And it's your responsibility to create this paradigm of love and unity amongst ourselves as Africans. So, Professor Smalls, can you allow that princess to speak?
Absolutely.
So, please introduce yourself to the entire family worldwide. Who are we talking, and who we having the pleasure to have in our platform?
Myself.
Our great sister Sasha. Can you introduce yourself to the family, please?
Our queen. Most of us don't understand when we see people today. Many are saying, I'm queen, because we are so eager to identify. So we'll see all kinds of people with titles of being the queen. But Africa exists, and her peoples exist. We live on that earth. And we have a system of governance, a spiritual system of governance that was passed down by our ancestors. And there are those that are chosen by the elders with advice from the ancestors to be guardians of that system of governance and spirituality. And so that is a process, a spiritual process that one must go through once they are selected and chosen by the ancestors and elders to sit on what we call the throne of the first African queen that sat on that throne to administer that governance and that spiritual system, and to be the guardian, indeed to be the mother of the people. And we have a real queen who have gone through that process, who I've known since I guess she was about 16 years old. Neither one of us is that young now. But she is the mother of her people now. That means wherever we are in the world, she is our mother. She is our queen. And so I'm going to try to pronounce her name appropriately and her title.
Okay,
so
okay. Before you pronounce the name, Baba Small, give me my camera. Before we pronounce the name, I just want our beautiful sister Sasha to introduce herself real quick. Who are we talking to, Sister Sasha from in the UK?
Hi, my name is Sasha Johnson, otherwise known as Sasha X. I'm a revolutionary in the UK. I'm also the representative of the New Black Panther Party in the UK. I'm also the Chief of Maroon Intelligence.
Wow. So, Professor Small, you got the floor to proceed again. Sorry, we just make sure.
Yeah. And it's an honor, my young sister. You know, I'm a very close comrade of the New Black Panther Party. You know, I was there to bury our leader. I was there on the night Minister Khalid and the others founded the party. So, congratulations. You got a lot of responsibility in front of you. Just let your heart meet it. So to come back to introduce our queen, and queen, you know, I'm an American with bad English at best. and trying to speak in the Congo language, forget it. But it's still my duty to try and introduce our queen, Diambi, Mukalenga, Mukajai, Wa, Nkash, Shama, Bakwa, Luntu, Queen of the Order of the Leopards of the Bakwa, Luntu of Kasai, Congo. That's a lot of name, my queen. But I know every one of them have a meaning describing your duty and responsibilities. So I just want to introduce to our people our queen. There's no queen in the world that ranks higher than this woman. Don't take her humility lightly. I know this heart.
Okay, before you see Her Majesty, there is a slideshow for you, brothers and sisters. I need you to pay attention, because doing this show is really about a challenge, because we got to make you visualize what we're talking about. So I need y'all to understand what we're talking about here. So we've got a slideshow for you, brothers and sisters, before Her Majesty proceed with the speaking, because remember, in our last tradition, we're going to introduce, and then she have to be the last to close out the conversation. But we got a video, brothers and sisters, because at times we know you ask. I've seen brothers and sisters ask questions. Alpha, that's too much responsibility. Be a queen mother of the Bantu people in Brazil. Remember, Brazil is the second largest African nation after Nigeria. Being a queen mother of the Bantu African descent people in Brazil, then carry the crown of the Queen Nzinga. So I want you to see the video, the slide video, so you understand what we're talking about. This is the slide for you, brothers and sisters. Stay tuned, don't go nowhere. We're going to be playing right now. Just listen to this. Watch this video so you understand what we're talking about. This is Her Majesty right here. So one more time, brothers and sisters, keep promoting, keep sharing, keep let the family know. So we are all in all platforms. This is the Majesty for you right now.
African girl, can I know you better? Can I put the ring on your finger? Girl, you're the one for me, oh. I know the other boys don't want you, but girl, I need you. Cause you make me feel like a man. Girl, I hope you understand me. Girl, I want you all like that. You make my day go. I am Melanie Papi, no. Oh, no. Oh, baby, come be my lady. Check out my love, baby. Don't be late, baby. Say African woman, you are sexy. Say African woman, she is sweet. African woman, you beautiful. And if she give me her love, you can give her in return. African woman, would you marry me, baby? Would you marry me, baby? Would you marry me, baby? Please marry me, baby. I'm a girl, say I go follow like zombie, oh. Zombie, I'm a girl, say I go pay like a donkey, oh. Zombie, baby, can I be your mister? Can I be bad man musician? And if you want to know where I come from, I be bad boy from Port Harcourt. She say she no need the maraba, lama. She no man, she go find me come beggar, to do beggar, lama. Why she no want the money? I wonder. She say love you the flow, like water. I love the ways in the road, oh, why not? You my love, yeah, would you be my love? My love, yeah, would you be my love? My love, yeah, would you be my love?
as you can see, brothers and sisters, this is for you. That's why we're doing this show. It's to make you visualize what we're talking about, because it's about time to bring our kingdom back. It's about time for us to understand the great work that our ancestors did and that our spiritual leaders and our traditional leaders keep doing today. And there's at times the media gonna tell you different story. So that's why now we got all the technology, so we can do ourselves. We don't have to wait for the BBC. We don't have to wait for CNN. We don't have to wait for NSBC. We can tell our history, and we can let our leaders speak before the world, just so we cannot lie. Because before, they gave Queen Zinga names. They gave her Ana de Souza. They gave our Queen Pavita Ana Beatriz. But we know the real name. So that's why I need you to remember this name, Kabatu Swila. So we having the floor to the Majesty to start off the conversation right now. So Majesty, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Greetings and blessings to all of you. I am so pleased and honored to be here sharing this panel with wonderful, beloved people like my elder and respected advisor and guide and mentor, Professor Baba Tatu Small. And I am so honored and pleased to see that I have a young princess following the footsteps of all those great women leaders, queens, and warrior women that is there. Sasha, thank you very much. It's an honor to meet you. And I have to thank my young brother and son, Alpha, Prince Alpha Kwabo, who has been doing an amazing work, bringing to his panel, to the radio show and other panels, great people to speak up about the African experience worldwide. So I am very, very touched. I have to state my name so that people will know who I am. I am Diambi, Kabatuswila, Chiyo Mwata, Mukalenga Mukajiwan Kashama, Obafaluntu, Nebakwa Indu, Wakasai, wa Congo, wa Kama. So what I said was I am Mukalenga Mukajiwan Kashama. Mukalenga Mukajiwan Kashama means the queen, the female king actually, or the female ruler of the Order of the Leopard of the Luntu people in Kasai. And I am Diambi. Diambi is the bearer of good news, the one who carries forth good words. Kabatuswila means the one who are not loved, and it's for a major reason. That means always keep your eyes open, because everybody is not your friend. Chiyo Mwata is my ancestors from whom I'm getting the crown, and I sit on his throne. It's my great-grandfather, the king, Chiyo Mwata. His wife, the queen, was Diambi. That's where I get the name from. And I will stress the importance of name, of course, in this conversation. And Bakwa Luntu people are the Luntu, but I come precisely from the Bakwa Indu. Bakwa Indu is the actual location and the people that the Bakwa Indu from whom my people come from, and also the Bakwa Mpumu. So it's another clan. So those are different clans. I have to stress one thing about the word tribe that we use so readily. It is not a word that is an African origin, or it doesn't reflect the reality on the ground. The reason why you hear Bakwa, Pumu, Bena, Chiamba, Bakwa, Luntu. Bakwa means the ones of, so the family of. So our tribes, so-called tribes, are just basically families. And the name of the Bakwa Luntu is all the ones who descend from the great elder Luntu. So we are a conglomerate and of families. And this is to be proven for all the African families, regardless of what you call yourself, what clan you call yourself, you are a part of the African or Kemetic family. You are just a branch, just like you descend from another uncle or another aunt of one of the great ancestors of the African people, because we recognize that we had an ancestor, a primordial ancestor that may have been expressed in terms of a noon, a primordial water. And from that primordial water, we all stream and we manifested in this earth with the principle of a male and a female, and we are all descendants of those great ancestors, and we are just a family. So that's one thing to speak about the division among us, and especially on the ground of Africa. We have increased the ideology of thinking that we are different just because we speak different languages, or we are in different parts of the continent, or we may look slightly different with different body types. But all of us really come from one single family initially, and we are just branches of the same family. That's why we also call God Vidye Mukulu, because we are the big tree. And Vidye Mukulu is God is all the conglomerate of all of us together, all manifested existence is what God is. So we are a branch of that manifestation. We are a branch of that divine. We are fruits. When you see our babies like Sasha, those are our fruits that will also bear seeds and will continue to grow the forest of the mighty and wise people. So thank you very much for welcoming me. And I'm looking forward to hear what my elder has to say with his infinite wisdom. And he has studied a lot. So he's a scholar, he's a scientist. And that's what high priest means in our culture. It's not somebody that just pray and do incantations and all that stuff. That's not what it means. Again, we are being contaminated by the Western mind. Our high priests are really savant and scientists of a really high caliber and integrity, and they are there to bring forth and teach the younger generation about the knowledge of our ancestors. And another thing I want to touch before I leave the floor to my ancestor and my young daughter is that when we talk about African tradition, we are not talking about the past. We are basically talking about our culture. Too many people think when we say a tradition, in our tradition, it means in the past. No, its tradition is equivalent to our culture. Now, our culture may be manifested in our daily lives, in the way we carry ourselves, or not. But our culture and tradition are really basically the same. Tradition doesn't mean it's just what we used to do, and we can no longer do it today. It's no longer relevant today. It's in the past. The way we carry ourselves today, it's still based on that tradition, those traditions, and therefore our tradition is our culture. Baba, my elder, would say, if he wishes, what really culture encompasses. But it's very holistic understanding of who we are and what are our capabilities, what are our powers, and what is it that we can bring forth when we are ingrained into the understanding of reality and existence as our forefathers were, and passed it on for our benefit. Thank you so much.
Wow. So go to Baba Smalls. Help us to understand, since you mentioned about name. So help us to describe Baba, just this name, because at times people don't understand what this name means. So this is the question before we open up the full conversation. Help us to understand this name, Baba, because people at times they misunderstand or confuse this name. So in your own words, what is Baba represents, this powerful name?
It's one of our language. It means father or the elder. I have other names now. Before Diambi, when our queen was a little girl, I commanded a guerrilla force called Baluba Troop. And I used the name then, Karoli Wakaranja. That was my war name. I can't give any detail on that because I may still have to suffer consequences. But I lived in a world where Congo was my foundation and Daluba was my spiritual guidance, never knowing I would meet the queen years later as a young lady. I'm also Niahito Okrapong. That's my God title. Ania is presenting me as a man. Ahito is making reference to soaring very high, being able to see what's going on. And Okrapong is the spirit of the falcon. We call it in the early days Heru. So if I was to take any of my names, I've got a name for almost every community I've worked in. I could give you a list. Even a secret name that you share with no one but yourself and your divine. What the name does is to identify the qualities and attributes that should be functional in the character of the person, or is identified as being functioning in the character of the person. Either it's there through your training, or you're being asked to develop these qualities so that the character that carries out the action of your life is reflective of the qualities and attributes that we call our name. It's not just a label, you know. It is a bringing to life those powers of the divine that we call the Necharu and the Orishas and the Obosum, bringing to life those powers in your character. And then sharing that you are with your people.
If that's the case, moving to the princess. So your name wants something else. Names that I don't like to mention. But now you put an X on it. Why are you decided to put an X on it? So your name is such an X now. That's what I've known you for. Why is the X? Why you took why you decide to just take the X off of your name? Explain to the family why. Sasha, the floor is yours.
The Johnson of my name, replacing it with the X, is reclaiming my identity. I see it as taking myself back away from the Western powers and giving myself to my people. So until I find a spiritual name that I connect with, the X will remain there.
Wow. Moving to the Majesty. Moving to Her Majesty. So before we open up, so I wanted to make sure brothers and sisters from all over the world. So shout out to all of our brothers and sisters in Jamaica. Shout out to all of our brothers and sisters in the United States, obviously Congo, Angola, Mozambique. Shout out to all of our brothers and sisters in the UK, Jamaica. Shout out to our brothers and sisters in Ghana. I'm sure Ghana tuning in completely. Brothers and sisters in South Africa, you got to be on this one. Angola, you know what it is. So shout out to absolute, I don't want to mention the name, UK, from north to south of England. So you and Wales and Scotland. So you got to tune on this one. Tune in on this one. So the question we're asking you today is what you see in your screen right now. This is the question that we're asking you, brothers and sisters. I hope you to break down with us. This is the question right there. As you can see in your screen, this is the question. To liberate the African continent and the African people worldwide, we must need to protect the African women by any means necessary. I'll repeat to you again. To liberate the African continent and the African people worldwide, we must need to protect the African women by any means necessary. That's the question we're asking you. Do you agree or disagree with this question? So then we're also going to talk about the legacy. That's why we want to go straight to the legacy of, if you can remember, 17th of December. This is the date that our Queen Zinga rested. So 17th of December, every 17 we always do ritual to reconnect with her spirit. So that's why I'm throwing the question to Her Majesty. Explain, talk to us about the legacy of this great queen, Queen Zinga from the Kingdom of Congo, and then you hold the crown that represent her. So can you explain to the family the power and the legacy of our great Queen Zinga, and then we move on to Professor Small. But before we give the floor to Her Majesty about this great queen that gave blood, sweat, and tear, she fought until her last breath to liberate our African people worldwide. That's why today we are celebrating also. We are celebrating Queen Zinga. So, Majesty, you have the floor.
Thank you, Alpha. I want to piggyback back a little bit on what my elder spoke about when he spoke about the power of a name, because it's something that as a tool for liberation, we have to really understand that when we are born, we are the incarnation of our ancestors. So when we choose the name is a promise. Every child is born to manifest a promise. So when you give a name, as my elder said, you are then to grow to manifest that particular promise that you came about. And that's why we give names of our ancestors, or name of a particular event, or name of a particular mission. So your name is really your mission statement. So it's important when you have children to really think that through and realize that the name has power, because it will help and open energy portals, so that those abilities for the child to grow into the promise is going to be important. So that all the women today and parents to be who are going to bring forth life have to understand that that life can be extremely empowered with the proper names, because we need to identify in our communities what it is that we need to see manifested, so that we can speak it through the names of those ancestors who are coming back through, the womb of our mother, and has traversed the noon, the waters, the primordial waters, to be manifested in this visible world again. So one of the assets, or one of the tools we have to change our condition, is to start naming our children with a name that carry forth our power, so that they can develop into that promise. Of course, we understand that the community has to be together and they have to have guidance and so forth. But if you speak powerful name about your children, then powerful manifestation will also come to fruition. So that's the first thing. The second thing, we're talking about Queen Zinga. Queen Zinga is a really admired queen for me and for many in Africa and in the world. I will let Professor Small give you more details about the history of Queen Zinga, but I will speak as the one who have recently received the crown of Queen Zinga by her descendants, by the descendants of the Congo people that are in Congo Kinshasa. So the kingdom upon which she ruled was really, really vast, and covered what we call today Angola, and big parts of the Congo, even all the way to the Kasai region. So we have to understand the system of leadership was not so much like the Westerners, where you just had a king or queen and then they ruled, everybody. They really were the symbol of the ancestors. They manifested, and they were the embodiment of the values of the history and the values that we believed in. But Queen Zinga had then a kingdom that was really with different, cities and towns and so forth, with people that were not necessarily speaking her language, but pledged allegiance because they had almost like a federation. So African kingdoms are not the same as the European kingdoms. Most African kingdoms, you don't have a super powerful king on top that just is there to rule and tell people what to do. No, it was a very, very horizontal power structure where the people on the local ground had much power to organize their society, and then they just confederated to make sure that the interests of the entire region were served by the policies or the behaviors of different communities. So the purpose of a king really is not so much as himself being the manager of everything. They have people that are dedicated to do that, to do the daily management of the communities, and in which many times women are involved at the highest level, because everything has to go through the Council of Women before any decision is approved in the kingdom. However, Queen Zinga took on a very, very strong position in defending her people, in defending the freedom of the African people, so against the invasion of the Portuguese. And she showed the Portuguese that they had to deal with her on an equal grounds. So she never gave the battle, she never surrendered, and she always was one to ask and seek freedom and liberation from the jugue of the Portuguese, who were really trying to strangle Africa at the time of her reign. So she's a warrior queen, and a warrior queen does not necessarily talk about a queen that takes guns and arms, but there are many more type of weapons that we have to use. And among all those weapons, the most powerful weapon of a woman, it's her innate power. In our traditions, in our culture, women represent power. It's not the man who represents power. Men represent authority. So women have to empower the man, give the man the power so that they can carry forth that power with authority. And this is why you will often see men on the throne, because the throne is not the symbol of power. The throne is the symbol of authority. It's the face of that power. So therefore, women in Africa don't rush to be on the throne because there is no competition here. Women understand very well that they need a figure of authority to carry forth the power that they have been given by these women. And this is why you will see, and I sent you some images of that, even in antiquity, in Egypt, you see Pharaoh standing, but you will see sometimes a woman at the base of the feet of the Pharaoh, his wife, or you will see the woman holding the Pharaoh, or sometimes the woman standing behind the Pharaoh and holding his shoulders. This is all to explain that the man has to be the authority figure, because men have the attributes, the natural attributes to command respect. Their body already structure, the strength that they have, the physical strength, the stronger voice, all of these just physical attributes that I talk about, but they have other, of course, spiritual and mental attributes that allow them to be the voice, to speak the voice of power. And that's the role of authority. And authority will also be the one who will hold you accountable. The power will not be the one holding you accountable, the authority will. So when you do something wrong, when you even see it in the family, you did disobey mom, guess who's going to be the authority now to handle his business? It's going to be dad. We say, okay, wait until dad comes home. That is not to say that mom doesn't have the power. That means that dad is the authority that will carry forth the power. Because dad will not do anything unless mom says, hey, this one here misbehaved and didn't behave according to the standard that was set in this home, in this family, according to my rule and my power, that this is not how you behave, but wait until dad gets home. So when dad comes home, the children are already discombobulated because they know that dad is the authority, but dad cannot carry this on his own. So this is the balance that we represent. Sometimes in history, we will see a woman like myself coming to sit on the throne. There have been many like Queen Zinga. There have been some like Hatshepsut. There have been many more that an historian can tell you more about those women. So sometimes there are certain particular circumstances that will call for the manifestation of authority in the form of power, meaning in a female form. But that means that we still have to rely on the authority of our men in the community to carry forth the power. So it's a very particular role that I play. We have this kind of archetype all throughout Africa of these divinities or this divine principle that comes with the dual energy, female and male. Dual energy, female and male in the combination. But oftentimes the rule will not be that one. So we have had many, many women sitting on the throne, but it's not a place that women, African women in general, seek to be, because there is no competition there. They have a very clear understanding that the women are the power, but they feed the power into the man, and the man carry forth the power with authority and ask to render account. So we'll monitor that things are done accordingly, and if it's not, they will be the one applying sanction. So it's extremely powerful when that union of men and women are properly balanced and understood the role of each. Then we can then see the manifestation of a balanced and harmonious society in front of us when we do governance in this way. And what we see today is a complete unbalance, and we can see the manifestation of this. And of course, I have to call on to the fact that the Europeans, starting with the Greeks, and I will not go further, but we can go further, but completely took the women out of the equation of power, out of the equation of governance. And this is why they were able to carry forth and manifest civilizations that were very, very much so in producing a lot of aberration. Because when these two are not balanced, then it manifests in the way where there is a lot of aberrations and a lot of destruction and chaos. So we have to understand that as we are building the tools of our renaissance, because Africa, we have to understand 3,000 years in the realm of the existence of humanity is really a blip. Of course, we are in the blip, and it's very uncomfortable. It's been uncomfortable for 3,000 years to have lost their historical initiative, and to see others just come in Africa and take and take and take and distort and destroy and abuse and kill and rape and hang and burn and pillage. It's very uncomfortable, but we have to never forget that this is a blip. We have been around for hundreds and thousands of years, and we have been in a position of leadership. The reason why we call ourselves the Congo or the Konkoi, and you see my father wearing his leopard crown, or the panther, it's because we are called the tamers of the leopard, the one who have worked a deal with leopard. And if you know what leopard are, you understand the attributes of leopard. You do not have a deal with the leopard ever. But the Congo people were able to create that life, to propose to the creator that we can live according to certain rules, so that we can live in harmony with one of your fiercest creation, which is the leopard. And once we step away from those rules or those behaviors, then we create chaos. And today, as I speak, there is many, many conferences, many world summits to see and think about how we're going to get back some sense to make sure that we develop a civilization that does not destroy our home. But only if the ones who are the custodian of this home, which we call Earth, are in the forefront of the discussion, will we be able to produce sensible rules or sensible guidelines, so that we can carry forth to reconstruct a valuable world civilization. Because it's obvious that the one we have, this civilization model that we have, is shown its limit and is shown all its flaws by now. Even the way they are handling this COVID crisis, we can talk about it later, but it's just a manifestation of a lack of understanding of how this whole system, planet system, works. So let the elder come back in forefront. But for that, of course, we have to be prepared. And this is why we need leadership of our elders. This is why we need to see the youngster stepping up to understand who they are, because they are the ancestors manifested. And so once they know that, they can, connect with the true power, and they can go forth to rebuild, the African ideal of civilization, and see that it will be manifest one day very soon.
Ashe, Ashe.
Going to Professor Smalls, obviously, by you being a spiritual leader, being a freedom fighter, so help us to understand the role of Queen Zinga, because as far as we know, she stood up on the battlefield. She wasn't sitting on the throne. She went over there asking questions to the Portuguese. Oh, you stop, or we gonna start to get rid of you real quick, because we know how to fight. Help us to understand. And you have, to some extent, you carry that spirit, because you are Gullah Geechee. Help us to understand the Gullah Geechee. Why is the Gullah Geechee connect with the people from the Congo, from that region? Because oftentimes people don't understand that you have a lot of ancestors, a lot of blood, different bloods in you that completely take over the entire continent. But before that, help us to understand the legacy of our great Queen Zinga, Professor Baba Smalls.
I don't need to do that. You just heard it from our queen. That's what that was. She just described what true royalty is and what are the principles upon which it is sitting. And so when we think of the extraordinary events of our land being invaded by the Portuguese and them coming under the guise initially to trade, but immediately got involved in the genocidal process of enslaving our people, raping, pillaging, plundering. They didn't just come like nice Christian guys with a church and saying hallelujah and believe in Jesus. They came with swords and muskets. Yes, and immediately when they realized that our villages didn't have standing armies and weapons, the first attack was on our women, and then on any men that tried to defend their integrity. As our mother just told us, that the women is the power, and the man is the authority, the one she gives the authority to carry out that power. If you ever look in Egypt, you'll always see a Set has the throne on her head. It is telling you something. Our ancestors left the symbol to let you know when you sit on that throne, when you sit on that stool, you are sitting symbolically and actually on the power of every ancestor that has ever lived. And only you, the queen, can give authority to the men. And she had it so right. Queen, you said it so beautifully and simply. In Ghana, one of the places where you can see the process, the Asante Hene, the king of the Ashantis. Well, he only gets to be the king when the queen mothers choose him to be that. And if he violates the authority given to him, it is those queen mothers that can remove him from that stool. In Nigeria, among the Yorubas, if the king violates himself and the women of the community bare their breasts, he's out. That is the symbol for the whole community. He no longer has the authority we gave to him. When we bare our breasts, we've taken away that authority. So when we study our culture, and our queen has just given such a beautiful lecture. I've never heard it done so well. It was just wonderful. So the only thing that I can say is just deal with the generalities. What Nzenga, for the 37 years that she was on that throne physically, did was to set an example of the defense of the integrity of your people. Has no price. Because the Portuguese came with everything, with money, with weapons, with all kinds of trinkets. but she had no price, because the integrity of the people and the guardianship that she was assigned was greater than anything anybody could offer her to betray that. And that is the lesson that the leadership in Africa needs to learn today.
Wow.
And until we learn that lesson by studying the great spirits like Nzanga, we'll stay in trouble. You know, as our queen was explaining, the symbol of the leopards, go back as far as you can at the ancient Kemet. This is the symbol. If we can live in the harmony with the worst of the beasts of prey, as we would call them, why can't we live in harmony with one another by the same rules, the same principles, the same concepts, the same ideas? But the ignorant, lost ones, the mutations of us, because there's only one human being, and it starts with the African woman. Everything is a mutation off of that gene pool. But when they come back with their ignorance and only stimulated by desire, envy, jealousy, and hatred, you're going to have problems. So when someone sits at the head of a nation as a monarch, male or female, they don't just sit on the physical power of a throne, but the ethical, moral power of a throne, which is much more powerful than the physical power, because it's the ethics and the morals that builds through practice the characters, that creates the behavior, that carries out the action that changes the world. And if we leave those pieces behind, which we do, because we are on the train of envy, desire, which leads to jealousy and hatred, which is stimulated by an attraction that comes from being ignorant, but the basic humanity of our beingness, the divinity in this beingness. Nothing exists. They have this word, and a lot of us use it now, Jinyami, the Ghanaian word for God. We say it's the word for God. It's not the word for God. It is a word stating nothing exists but God. Jinyami, none but God exists. People say it means nothing is greater than God. No, none but God exists. We are all, as the Queen explained, simply an aspect of that existence, a branch of the only tree that exists.
Wow, professors, obviously, brothers and sisters, remember this is our village. It's like we're having a sort of like a village conversation, you know, like a tribe, because you got the queen, then you got the elder, then we are the princess, obviously. So, talking about the princess, so Princess Sasha, hear what the elders say. Hold on a second. Hear what the elders are saying. You are the bridge, because you pulling the youngsters like the 70s, 80s, and then you pushing the elders too. So you kind of the bridge, pushing you in the middle. So Prince, those who are warrior, who go into the battlefield. The elders lead, I don't know if, help me to, if I'm wrong, Majesty. The prince stay in the front, the elders stay in the back, right? Am I right, Majesty?
Yes, sure.
Yeah. So you're the driving force. You are the one who stay in the battlefield. Help us to understand. Now that you heard what the elders saying, help us to understand the principle and the fight, the struggle of Queen Nzinga in nowadays now. Help us to understand.
In today's day, I understood what Professor Smalls and the Queen said, and I identify completely with what she said. I also believe that things was matriarchal before patriarchal. So I carry that as a firm belief, as I believe the black woman carries the Eve gene and the ability to create every race, as the professor said. So that to me is something that's symbolic. When we look at the Queen, and especially living in the UK and seeing that we have a white woman sitting on a throne, I see that as a representation of the preservation of white supremacy. That is a spiritual symbol that she holds to me, is a preservation of those people that came into our land, raped, pillaged, and stole from us. When I look at the Queen that's presented to me today as a black woman, she is the Queen, and she'll be the only Queen I identify as a Queen as from this day. And I know exactly why. She represents everything I've come from. Knowing thyself, as the Honourable Marcus Garvey said, to know yourself is to know where you're going. And we need to understand ourselves to know exactly where we're going. This fight is not just a physical fight, but it's a spiritual fight. It's one that we need to be mentally strong. Like they said, the leopard had no price. Today I have no price. There's no one that I fear but the Almighty. There's no law that any white man can create to keep me in bounds. But there's laws of my ancestors that I will follow. And that's what I got from basically what the Professor and the Queen said is, we must push forward, but we should push forward with bravery, with courage, and with understanding of self. And once we have those understanding of self and we have the bravery and the courage, we could help as women to support our men. The black woman is the keeper of her man. She will support her men. And I think I'm here today to remind our men that you can stand up. If I'm a woman and I can do it and I do it fearlessly, you too can stand up, and I will hold your back and I will protect you to stand up. Where your voice can't be heard, I will send mine. When yours is gone and put away, I will continue to be that cage bird that will continue to sing. Because without Winnie Mandela, where would Nelson Mandela be? There's modern day examples of this power and this balance.
So as you can see, but what in terms of Queen Zinga, we know you, one of your mentor. One of your great mentor is our great ancestor Hashim Nzinga. So is that something that drives you to really, because the moment you connect with Hashim Nzinga, you connect with the Queen. So do you reckon is that the spirit that drives you to do what you do real quick before we give the floor to the Majesty?
Not a man that I met in the physical, but his soul touched mine. To be a brother that could continue to fight even when you're facing death in the face, and to continue to want to put boots on the ground and to continue to search and seek for the liberation of your people by any means necessary, to not have fear and to stand in impunity and to have tenacity, to continue that fight, even when your body, the flesh is weak. The spirit of Hashim Nzinga has never been weak.
Wow. Moving to Her Majesty, obviously you are king and queen at the same time. So can you explain to the family, because that's pretty much what Queen Zinga used to do. She was the ruler. She was the driving force. So you're reminding us, your tenacity, because you travel all over the world. You're an ambassador. You lead by example. You're the one who put boots on the ground. I had the privilege to travel with you and to be sort of like a not bodyguard, but just the protocol. And being in Brazil, being in the United States, moving to Africa, the way you carry yourself, as at times it's like a spirit that we can not define exactly. We just see the body, but the spirit moves. So help us to understand your role as king and queen at the same time.
Thank you, my son. Really, I want to remind people who may not know that what Professor and Babat just shared about the throne. The throne, it's not so much a physical throne, but it's a empowerment. It's an instrument of empowerment. And as a queen, king, because we're using English as a language, so that we have to kind of put king, queen, because I am both. I embody that power of our ancestors. But I can only embody that power of our ancestors if I am in a Ubuntu dynamic. Ubuntu dynamic will say, I am because you are. So anything that you see of me, it's only a reflection of yourself. So what I have done is to be the mirror of my people, but a mirror that reflects the truth reality, that when they see me, they see themselves as they are. And they are reminded of who they are. I always want to stress on something. Despite the fact that we are living in this blip and that we seem to see everything around us to be something negative or chaotic or something, I am always there to remind everyone of our greatness. Not just in terms of how we imagine ourselves because we used to be, but because we are. I always want to tell the story. Europeans never say they discovered Africa, of course. You never hear European discovered Africa. Europeans have always known about Africa and have always interacted with Africa. And most of the time they came really seeking, like really kneeling to seek and feed off of Africa, getting information, science, all kinds of education, getting food, gold. The Roman Empire and the reason why the Greeks were in Africa was to feed themselves. The Roman Empire needed food, and that's where they would go to get food. They would go to Africa to get food. So Africans and Europeans have had way long interactions. The terms of engagement changed once Europeans developed the weaponry that they have. The rapport was no longer one with one, but it was one person could annihilate many. This is when the rapport of force changed. And they then took advantage of the fact that we were societies that were very open, welcoming, pacifist, because we understood that we do not own nature, but we were just custodians of the nature, and we were to use nature to make sure that life would carry forth, but we could not destroy it while in the process of doing so. So capitalism and excessive, consumption and mercantilism was not part of our ideology or the structure of our society. But nevertheless, imagine the societies we had to produce people that once invaded, captured, beaten, raped, humiliated in all kinds of ways, separated from their loved ones, seen loved ones being killed in front of their eyes. Yet again, they continued and proceeded. They were taken in the worst condition, put on some boats, like stacked up like pieces of wood and merchandise, and then went on to a 3-month journey, abused, with condition that I cannot even describe, gotten to on the other side in an unknown land, unknown conditions, were put in captivity, in forced labor camp, beaten, abused, separated from their loved one, again and again and again for centuries. But yet again, these people did not have a psychic break. They continued to be human. They continued to love one another. They continued to produce music and art and engineering pieces and create. But for me, and look at how healthy they've been despite all of that. That speaks volume as a testimony of the quality of the cultures and civilization they came from. What were those civilizations and cultures that produces human beings that were capable of enduring all of this and yet again rise? And still living under the worst condition today everywhere on the planet, including in Africa. Everywhere I've gone, I've seen everybody in the same kind of worst condition, material condition. But yet again, there is something there that just thrives. Ubuntu. Ubuntu is also humanhood. Those qualities can never be taken away from us. We have demonstrated it in so many ways. So when I walk the walk and I go all over the world, is to basically beat the drum so that all of us can look at my reflection in them and see themselves in me and see this is what I am. Despite everything I went through, this is me. And I can only be who I am because I'm reflecting what is coming to me. So it's always a two-way street. And then when I go to the world to see all other people, those who are the ones who sat on our thrones and subjugated us, to see me and say, yet again, here I am.
Wise.
And I'm not here to shoot you. I'm here to remind you that you cannot annihilate me because I'm your mother too.
Peace and blessings, brothers and sisters. You can see here at Radio Diamond TV. So remember, this is our village. Go move to Professor Smalls. Professor Baba Smalls, you talking about spirituality because you're a spiritual leader. So you tap into our spirituality to the point that you change behaviors. You build princes to become kings. In your hands, you made mains. You made great brothers and sisters. Help us to understand the spiritual side of your work, because at times we don't really value and understand how powerful Baba Small is, because you taught me to understand spirit. You taught me to say, don't just, this is just ain't just about the body, but it's about the relationship you're having with the nature. Help us to understand this, Professor Small, because we understand the Europeans and all these people, they're trying to break our spirit. They damage our spiritual system. But you still here, pounding on this the same issue. Help us to understand the spiritual side of our fight in our days and in our past generations.
Well, Queen Diambi again just demonstrated it. Spirituality is being conscious in your reality. It's not something separate and aside. It is the totality of your reality being comprehended by the consciousness of mind that you've become. Sadly, we think when we say spirituality, we think of it like a religion of the West. They have capitalism or communism or socialism as their major approach to acquiring and dividing and sharing the wealth of the earth. And then they have an aside called religion, which is supposed to govern their behavior using a system that is already defined is in humanity to humans, right? That's why it doesn't work. But spirituality isn't like that. Spirituality is just another way to describe the core element of our reality. You see, we can't separate ourselves from God. We can't separate ourselves from the ancestors. Let me give you simple ideas. When my mother and father gave birth to me, they gave birth to themselves.
Yes.
When my mother and father was given birth to by my grandparents was given birth to themselves. You see, so I am all of my ancestors. I'm all of them. Up to me, I am the culmination of all of them, and that means I'm the culmination of the universe itself. That is the primary ancestors. But to show you even more how much this is real, we have two, a queen and a princess, here today. In order for the creator or the creation or the God or the Almighty to create, it must be done in the womb of these two women. They are the place where creation takes place. There's no other creation for humans anywhere except in the womb of a woman. So the woman isn't separate from God, neither is the man, but the woman is such a good example. She's not separate from God. She's that aspect of God that creates. You see? So we're not, spirituality is a comprehension of your totality as your reality. It's not a separate thing. It's being aware of the core essence of the principles, concepts, ideas, and values that it takes to make you function normally. What we call ma'at, that's normal functioning. But we talk about it now like it's admirably different, some great thing you got to do. No. Truth, justice, harmony, balance, reciprocity should be what we breathe as character every day.
Wow. So, moving to the young, the warrior princess X. Obviously, do you reckon in our generation are we losing that touch with the nature? Are we losing that sense of spirituality? Are we really embracing the spirit of our ancestors in our generation, Princess Warrior X?
I think in our generation, we have, for the younger generation, there's a hint of Stockholm syndrome, where we are idolizing the people that enslaved us. And it's almost like we're protecting the master's house still, but we know the master has plans to further enslave us. So there's a disconnect. If like myself, I put myself in places and circles where I will get this knowledge and I will get to know self. If there's a way that people could access this information, like I've been getting chills the whole time I've been on this call. The room has been cold. I've been getting chills. I've been feeling every time the Queen speaks and when Professor Small speaks, I get chills. And that's what it will do. That's how powerful knowing self is. You just know, you feel it. Like right now, I just feel it.
But my princess, I'm so honored to be on this program with you. Because, Nzinga was like my son. I'd known him from his earliest days of becoming conscious. And we stayed comrades until he left. And the only time I've left my home since COVID was to fly to Atlanta to be at his farewell tribute. Because he was such a symbol of just total belief in our freedom and our liberation struggle, that for the years that he struggled with that terrible cancer, if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. When he spoke on the radio stations on Mondays, and he was Black Power Radio, and when you talked to him on the phone, you would not know. It is that spirit that gave birth, or at least added to your spirit, because you came. You came. I want you to understand this. You didn't walk out of darkness into light. When you were given birth to, because of the actions of the generations of yours before, you came as that light. And what people like us can do is enhance your light through the knowledge we share. And that's what Nzinga did. Know that you're God having a human experience called you. You understand? The Queen is the symbol of the power that you are. She said that when you look at her, you see a reflection of yourself. That's who you should be.
Yes.
I'm so proud of her when I'm hearing her talk with all of this power of history and political analysis. I am so proud of our Queen.
Wow.
I don't have to say anything. She has done the lecture that the people needed, and with the spirit that allows them to drink from the cup. Sometimes people bring us a cup and is so full of complication we can't drink it. But Malcolm X says, make it plain, make it simple, so that the people can comprehend it, and they will drink from the cup if they can comprehend. If you make it simple and make it plain.
When the Queen said that when we look at her, we should see ourselves, I identified with that so much, because every time I saw Hashim Nzinga hold his fist up, when I hold my fist up when I speak, it is my black pride, it's my black dignity, it's my unapologeticness. And it does say, I'm here. You tried it, you keep trying it, but I'm still here. So I understand exactly.
Good.
Wow. So moving to Her Majesty, give me a camera. Moving to Her Majesty, because brothers and sisters, remember, we're just doing this for the love, and it's really about a lecture. It's really about a village that we're here today. This is just our village. That's just beautifully, because this is a spiritual show. Going back to Her Majesty, oftentimes we say African women are the mother of this earth and the queen of the universe. Can you elaborate this for us, please? Because when we hear this word, we like, you know, I'm proud because I ask good questions, though. You ask good questions.
Well,
Go ahead.
I really think it's more of a statement than a question, and this is to others to identify us as such by, you know, the power of our action and by the legacy that we leave behind. So it's not for me to say, you know, we are this and we are that, because, you know, my humility will require of me to let others speak for that, because I am only who I am, and I am just doing what I do. And to my young daughter, I just wanted to say as well, you know, yes, indeed, that's what I'm there for, to reflect who you are. But as I meet the family all over the world, I get also fed with more elements of who we are. So basically, when I go around, I get also the impregnated with the spirit of all the ones who are in front of me, and seeing what they've done and seeing what they've been able to accomplish only adds to my power. So the realization of the different African experiences that has been, and starting to use all these experiences to put them back together, to consolidate these experiences into a novel African identity, is what I am now. I am no longer just Queen of the Bankwaluntu people of Congo and that. No, I am no longer that. I am that and everything else. And I am an African American, and I am a Brazilian African, and I'm a Cuban one, and I'm a French one, and I'm a Portuguese one, so this is what it is that these 3,000 years and this blip that we've been living in, now we have to look for the answer. Why did we have to go through this experience? So we get out of the victimhood status, and now we retake the mastership of our experience and say, yes, we've gone through it, but obviously we are here. So that means that this was not an experience to break us, but rather to fortify us. So finding out in which way now we come out of this experience greater than our forefathers, because we have walked, they walk, because we are made of them, but we have added now the experience that we've lived throughout this manifestation of my life. And in my manifestation of life, I have gone all over the world to plug myself to all those energy centers who are the other people of this, in this experience, so I can grow to be a better manifestation of who we are, and to embody the complexity of the African experience, because that experience ought to be the beacon of human experience on this planet. Because through time we went, through all kinds of experience we went, through all kinds of trials and tribulation we swim with the current, and we manifested Kemet and so many beautiful civilizations, but we also swam against the current, and here we are. So this speaks volume to our capability to understand this, the ecosystem in which we are, to understand this reality, and to make the necessary adjustments to be as potent as we can be, to then work into building this new civilization that is going to be more balanced, but will have to answer to the requirements that we have nowadays. So it's like I say, it's a give and take, but this is just a composite of all the African experiences, of all the African expressions in the world. And without this experience that we've gone through, we would not have such a rich and refined body of information from all these experiences we got. So we increased our wisdom, we have increased our knowledge, and we have increased our power by being put to these circumstances, but by finding ways to thrive despite those very difficult circumstances. So for me to speak about women, and if we are the mothers, of course, I think that my elder and guide already said something about the fact that the woman's womb was where the creation happened. Of course, so we could not be anything else but, the creators. And if we are the queen of the universe, well, I believe yes, because the universe has manifested itself into us. So yes, of course, we are those queens of the universe, because this is I am the universe, like my elder said, and all of us understand that there is nothing else but God. And this is why we were able to create civilization for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, where we did not destroy nature. Because see, in my land, you don't go in the woods, just cut wood, trees. You can't do that. You have to have a defined purpose, and that purpose better serve the community. And then you have to define how many trees you're going to need. You don't say, oh, let me cut 15 trees when you only need 2. You're going to have to have a council of wise people, and then you're going to have to negotiate with the forest and explain your purpose, and then make sure that you do not waste anything. That's why when we kill an animal, you're going to see we're wearing the teeth, we're wearing the skins, we're making the flutes with the bones. We don't throw away anything, because all of that is God.
Ashe, you're a queen, you're a queen, you're a queen.
When we go into understanding that, then the type of civilization we produce will be at the image of this pact and this covenant that we have come to realize, because God have imbued us with intelligence and the ability to choose. But we choose wisely, so we choose everything to promote life, not the opposite. So when we lack of wisdom and we lack of intelligence and we lack of understanding of reality, then we make choices. We use that freedom of choice, and we make choices that do not carry forth life, but carry forth destruction and chaos, as we have seen it manifested.
Wow. So moving to Baba Smalls. Obviously, we living in nowadays the system in general. They tried so hard to feminize our brothers and sisters, and you've been educating us that we must need to stand with this word by any means necessary. And by you being fully in connection with the great ancestor Malcolm X and the great ancestor Ben, John Henry Clark, are we losing in nowadays this military mindset that by any means necessary? Because your demeanor, your message, it's about y'all. If you touch me, I'm not gonna turn another cheek. So I will deal with you accordingly, with respect, if you ask for. So can you help us to elaborate this word by any means necessary? Are we losing, or is slowly getting back again into our spirits, into our bodies, into our mindset? Professor Smalls, Baba Smalls.
Thing in by any means necessary is the word necessary. We have to make sure when we see that term, we're thinking as Africans and not as Europeans. And I remember in the 60s, so frequently when the term was used, it got reduced to meaning only one means, violence. And that was never the intent of Malcolm X at all. He said any means necessary. There may be 1,000, 2,000 possibilities, but somehow we reduce the word any to one means only. And that's the first thing we must correct in our consciousness. The admiration for what I call undivine evil. You know, we say we hate this demonic behavior, but we admire its violence and physical power, and we want to emulate it and imitate it and call that freedom. And that's why we haven't gotten free. We've used it in Mozambique and Angola and Congo and Mali and Zimbabwe. Why haven't we gotten free? Because we've imitated the wrong forces. You see, we need to go back and find out what did the ancestors do. And the Queen was talking about it. She said one thing, and I know people missed it. You've got to negotiate with the forest when you want to take something out of it. And we miss it. You know, if I want to cut down a tree, I go and I pour a libation and say, oh, my brother, I have some need to borrow you. I have to build a house for my wife. And I need you to allow me to use you to build that house, to build those chairs. And so I beg this of you, and I explain to you why I need you before I can even think about cutting my brother or sister down. And when he's become my house, he's still my brother and my sister.
Yes.
You see, the cause and effect that we call the laws of the universe. You know, Dr. Ben and them call them the forces of opposites. Listen, there's only one law. It's the law of the universe. And that's what people call divine law, and then they innovate on it and confuse you. There's just the law. The sun does the same thing in China as it does in Congo.
Yes.
It's the only sun. The moon does the same thing in New York as it does in Luanda. It's the same moon. It works by the same law in all of these places. If you ignore those laws or confuse about those laws, then you would ignore your own peace and harmony and be confused about the order you will be able to live in society. There's a law of nature that has to do with the growth. There's a law of nature that has to do with partnership. There's a law of nature that has to do with sharing and reciprocity. You learn these things when you are growing up in your family if they know or remember the law. Yes, you have to innovate on these same laws in the urban setting, but the laws don't change. How you apply them may change, because you've had to create these new things. But the laws are the same. It doesn't change.
Wow, wow.
Our understanding of it must change.
Wow, wow. Brothers and sisters, if you can see, if you can hear Professor Smalls talking and then Her Majesty talking, they talking very plainly, just so you understand. So I'm shout out to the brothers and sisters in Brazil. They're recording right now. Brother just sent me a message saying, I'm translating Alpha. But some people, they don't understand. Don't worry, brother. Don't just do your translation. The most important thing is for you to tell them what the Majesty is talking about. So before we go to the Majesty, so I want to go to our warrior princess Sasha X. So hear what the elders are saying. Do you reckon our generation is really seeking for knowledge, really fully understanding what our elders are building up? Because most of our self in nowadays, we too quick fall for all these tricks, all the musics and all this distraction. Do you reckon, propaganda. Do you reckon
and social conditioning?
Talking, obviously, because y'all been dealing a lot with the young young warriors in London, in the UK in general, do you reckon our generation is really now seeking for the information to connect with our elders?
I think that there's a few that, as I will use a quite cliche term, woke. So there's a few people that are searching for the knowledge, and there's some that are in the need instead of the want, instead of the need society, which is what the Queen Mother was saying about asking the tree before you cut it. And having that reasoning, because when we were hunters and gatherers, we never used to do stuff like that. We wouldn't cut a whole forest down. If we dug a tree up, we'll plant one back, we will replace it. If we killed one cow, we would wait until they had more children before we'd ever think to go and do that again. So in today, we're in a society where we want rather than we need. So we've been socially conditioned to want things, and it's taken us away from our identity, because the more we play into the Western world of want, we're slipping further and further away from our ancestral identities. It's only a few of us. And like when I say the means, any means necessary, a lot of people, especially the white man here in the UK, they got scared. They said I was coming to kill them. But I allowed them to realize I meant a social revolution for my people. I meant to wake my people up, because like the brother said, there's plenty ways more than violence. Since I've been here, I've written something called, I've helped people write the Black Manifesto. I've helped start a political party for representation for ourselves. I've looked at things like the Race Offenders Register, Pan-African schools. There's different ways that we could take this revolution on. It's just that we should have it in our mind that in the end, if it does have to come to that, the violence part, we're not going to turn the other cheek, and we're not going to fear it, but we will step in the way that we have always stepped as Black people. Remember, they brought guns, germs and steel to us. We were sharing our resources, and we were happy doing so until they decided to deceive us. And yet in today's day, this deception is still taking place, and it's taking place in stealing our identity. It's taking place with dehumanizing us, criminalizing us, and the deconstruction of the Black family. So a lot of us would have grown up, when I was growing up, I was held accountable, not just by my grandmother, but by the neighbors, by the pastor, by the teacher. I was held accountable so many times. Now, in today's day, that accountability of the village raising a child has been replaced by the state. So now the state is what's holding us accountable, and they're telling our parents and our family and the ones that used in the village that used to help to raise us that they no longer have that power. And today there's youths like me that are taking that back, and we're giving that power back to our elders, back to our Queen Mother. And we're saying, you are who we want to lead us. Just show us the way, and we're happy to follow. Hand us the baton. Teach me. I may have knowledge, but I will never have wisdom. So I will gain my wisdom from conversations like this, and that will pair in with the knowledge that I have of self and of today's day. I just don't have the wisdom to do it alone. So I'm glad to be a part of this conversation. It's the beginning of the passing of the baton.
Brothers and sisters, as you can see, we're having this public conversation, public dialogue. So we one more time, just to remind our brothers and sisters all over the world, this is the question that we're asking you. So I've seen a lot of comments on here in our system. I've seen a lot of comments, but one more time, this is the question that we are asking you, brothers and sisters. Keep the information alive, spread the message all over the world. So that's why I really have to commend all of our brothers and sisters in Jamaica, brother O'Sheen, all of you out there that have been really pounding, pushing the message that Jamaica is just an extension of Africa. So the questions one more time that we asking today conversations to liberate. Pay attention, my brothers and sisters. I'll read slowly for you. To liberate the African continent and the African people worldwide, we must need to protect the African women by any means necessary. That's the question that we're asking today. Before we finalize the question, so I got to go back to the Queen. Help us to describe, Majesty, your role as a Queen Mother. Queen Mother. Help us to describe your role as the Queen Mother of the Bantu or African descents in Brazil, because y'all been going out around the world talking about the importance of us to reconnect not only physically but spiritually. And then you doing by with your means, you doing by any means necessary. So you put in your time, your money, your resources, everything, to travel all over the world. So help us to describe your role, because for a long time they never had a queen from the southern region of Africa, the Bantu side, going to Brazil, and you made a history to become the leader, one of the traditional leader, to go over there in Brazil and then tell them you gotta come home, tell them that you got a mother. Help us to understand the role, your role as a queen mother of the African descent in Brazil.
Yeah, yes, thank you, my son, for the question. And again, I didn't decide to become the queen in Brazil, but rather the people of Brazil decided to sit me on the throne. I did some work in Brazil, reaching out to the children of Africa in Brazil. I visited them several times. I connected with many communities. And basically, I saw the sorrow, I saw the pain and the victim attitude. And I basically, they were looking to basically say, if only we can connect with Africa, if only we could go back home.
To interrupt you. Can you just move a little bit backwards, because your crown is not coming out the system? Because we need.
If only we could, if only we could go back home to Africa, then we would regain our power. Then we would be stronger. Then we would have like a real base we can fall on. And my message was to them maybe somewhat surprising, because I told them, wow, I have yet to see such a beautiful Africa than the one I've seen through your own eyes. So Africa is not a place. Africa is a disposition of how we stand and we walk the earth. So wherever you are with that disposition, you have made of that land Africa. So I told my family there, I said, this is Africa, Brazil. So as the United States is Africa, United States, Africa, Canada, Africa, Jamaica, Africa, Haiti, Africa, Cuba. So long as an African has landed on any land and has been an African in his true essence, he has converted that land into Africa. So it was not about them going back to Africa. You cannot go back to Africa. Yes, you can go to the place called Africa, but your Africanness or your Ubuntu is within you. And you can choose to manifest it. You can choose to act and live upon those principles of Ubuntu or the Mahat, or you don't. But as I've seen, all I've seen is that they have used that experience, they have used what they came with, and they have created a new African expression in Brazil. So therefore, after I left, and this community just decided on their own, they said, but if this is Africa, then we can have installed a stool, a throne, an African stool. And therefore, they chose to have me sit on that throne for the first time, to have an African throne that's emanating from themselves, from the African community of Brazil, and choose who is going to sit and be the leader on that throne. Of course, I made caution that we needed to engage with the indigenous communities, the families of the natives of the Amazon. And we did go to all these chiefs, and we held council to explain to them that if the African people, of course, were ancestors on that land before, 50,000, 60,000 years ago, yet again, the Africans they saw today came there against their own will, but yet again, made of this land their home. So we decided to merge our communities together in a sacred ceremony with the indigenous people of the Amazon forest, and I'm myself an indigenous person of the Congo forest, I suppose. And then we beat the drums of our ancestors together before I was able to sit on the throne in Brazil as a queen of the African descendants of Brazil. So that's the process. The process was I am just a symbol to manifest the fact that the people of Brazil have taken the power and ownership of the fact that they are Africans, and the land they step on is Africa, not because of the land, but because of who they are. So we make of the land, we make of reality whatever we want, whatever we conscious of. Alpha, I just want to address one more thing.
No, actually, that's what I want to go. That's what I want to go to, because you took the land and the water from Africa, because each and every city that we went through, you took the land and the water, and you did a ritual that everybody was crying, everybody was totally, out of that world. So you saying that the land they belong to that land, but explain to us by you bringing the land of, because you brought literally land and water. Explain to us what was your intention about it then?
When we thinking about going back to Africa, many of us in the diaspora who have been ripped away from the motherland and from their mother's breast have a dream of going back to the land. But I told them that if they cannot come physically, because everybody will not be able to go physically to the land. So the fact that I was there was saying the land has come back to you. So I did bring to them African soil and the water that was the water from which the last waters of Africa, their feet touched in the continent, was the water of the Atlantic, the Atlantic Ocean on the Congolese side, where the Congo River meets the Atlantic Ocean. So I took water from there and I brought the water to them. And of course, this is more like a metaphysic or the rituals to really reconnect people to the experience, and also so they can materialize, they can anchor with something material, that process of going back home. But it's not a physical process, but it's a spiritual, it's a mental process. So that's why the symbolic and the ritual of the water and the earth is very important, because many may not be able to physically come to Africa, and I will do my best in my entire life to help people come back to see Africa, to sit in Africa, to remember, to be welcome. I will do my best, but I know that it's not possible for everybody to come back. So therefore, wherever we are, then we can create, we can transform the energies of those lands as becoming African lands. So that's the idea behind this ritual. But I wanted to say something about the question about the brother needs to defend the sisters and the women with any means necessary. It's very important. I think my Baba, Tatu Small, already mentioned something about that. But before you pretend to defend someone by any means necessary, you have to understand the means that you have. Not only you have to understand the means that you have, but you also have to understand your stature. Where are you? We understand that the experience we went through, the first person that the system attacked was the African men. Yes, they went after the women, but let me explain why I'm saying the first target was the men. The men authority is manifested through three major principles. His ability to procreate, his ability to protect, and his ability to provide. That's where, on those three principles, sits the power of a man, or the power of his authority.
Yes.
When you have people come, the first thing that they did was to place our men in a situation where they can no longer protect and they can no longer provide. They can only do a partial of what procreation means. Procreation doesn't just mean having sex and having babies. Procreation means to be procreation, meaning to assist in creation. Baba also mentioned earlier that the creation, the creator, the factory of creation is the woman. So men have to be there to help women, promote women so they can be the creators that they are. And that not just in the form of a children, but in the form of beautifying the community, and regulating the community, teaching, nurturing, doing all kind, passing on the information, doing the folkloric dances, or teaching the trades and the skills. This is what men do. They are co-creator in the fact that they can do these things. But now, if we have men who have been abused the way they have, and then they take the ability to protect the women away for centuries, because if you dare try to, you get killed. Or if you see your mother being raped and you move, you get killed and she gets killed. So you are completely paralyzed. You can't do anything. You can't protect anybody anymore. Provide you can't, because all you do in your work is provide for the master. You can't provide for your wife and children anymore. So what do we expect from our men when we understand that they have been disempowered in this way? Women could not be disempowered because the power is within the womb. So you can abuse a woman. You can beat her, you can rape, you can do everything, but you cannot disempower a woman. You can disempower a man because you prevent him from carrying forth his authority in those domains that will be the guardian of the community. So therefore, before we ask our brothers to say, you have to protect our women any means necessary, we have to understand what means do they think are they left with? And if to provide and protect are those that have been taken away from them, then we have to partner so we can increase their power, increase their ability to do so. We have to, women who are still empowered have to be the one bearing forth these children who are male children, raising them, elevating them so they reconnect with their capability of being the providers, the protectors, and the procreators. So I think that the big role of women as leaders and guardian of our civilization is that these women have to understand the process that went into making our men the way they are. And we have to identify, thanks to our elders, what are the tools that we have to use so that we can put our men back in the throne of kingship that they are.
Wow. Brothers and sisters.
Can I say something to that? Queen?
Go ahead.
You're amazing. You're amazing. The way you articulate yourself, I don't know what to say, but I know the words will come to me. You're amazing. I agree completely with what you're saying. I have 2 sons, and every day I raised my son to know that they are men, and they are free men, and they should live and walk this earth as free men. And I think it's very important what you're saying. And when we talk about what can our men do today, if it's not for the providing, because the providing is nurture your women, love your woman, trust in your woman, reconnect with your woman, and that unity and that balance will come back.
Absolutely.
Wow. So we can be here like all day long, but obviously our DJ is almost on his way. I just had a signal from my technician. We'll extend for 15 more minutes, brothers and sisters. 15 more minutes. Our DJ has to wait because we can't stop the elders. No. We gotta wait, brother. 15 minutes more. So go back to Baba Smalls. Obviously, we're giving you the floor, Baba Smalls. Talking about the question of our show today, and we're giving you 5-10 minutes to really break it down, to liberate the African. Obviously, the African continent, the African people worldwide, we must need to protect the African women by any means necessary. Do you agree or disagree, and why? or you just want to do the analysis of all the question, because it really not it's just a question that we throw out there to the family worldwide, but really is really to analyze our role as a man and what we must need to do to stand in solidarity with our sisters. Not really, because at times when we're talking about protection, people seems like, oh, our sisters are weak, they need a protection. So it's really about to partner just so we can develop our nation. Not really about all, because at times when we put ourselves into this situation, like, oh, we must need to protect our women, automatically a lot of brothers and sisters, they automatically like, okay, if you say you got to protect the women, that means the women are weak. But no, it's really about just coming together to partner in order to build our nation. Can you just elaborate, Professor Small, about this topic?
You know, Alfie, I love you, but you can give these intricate, long questions. You have to learn to make it plain and simple. It's so fundamental. And the Queen again beat me to the gate. She talked about procreation, protecting, and providing. We're talking, you always, when I come on the show, I talk about we must have the capability to provide food, clothing, shelter, safety, and security for ourselves and our families. That's fundamental. Okay. And in order to do that, we have to be able to protect the fundamental institutions, land, labor, and resources.
Toolkit.
And that means we must control the economic, politics, and culture in the physical environment we live in. But we can't do any of that unless we have an understanding of the nature of the character of the mind that governs the behavior of the African personality. And that's where history and culture comes in. And we learn to see culture beyond drumming and music and dancing and theater. Those are tools of culture that help spread the ideas. But your culture is your worldview, your idea of the universe and the environment, and what is your role in it and your relationship to it and its relationship to you. Our ancestors have already worked this out. And so we just need to go back. That's what Sankofa means, go back and fetch it. What is it are we going back to fetch? We're going back to fetch the best of our ancestors' concepts, ideas, and principles on how to live life on the planet Earth. And so it ends up with the same question: who's going to provide the food, clothing, shelter, safety, and security for our families? Then how? The control of the economic, politics, and culture where you live. Commanding what? Land, labor, and resources where you live. What are the fundamental governing moral ethos? That is the culture of our ancestors, informing and instructing us on how to do these things. We gain that from a knowledge of history, both written and oral, both symbolic and sacred. And then we bring it to the table of modernity, the table of today. How can we implement these things in today's world, given today's needs? You know?
Professor Small, obviously, we're almost at the end of our show, and I've seen brothers and sisters trying to call. Today's show, it really just about the call. It's about getting the elders, and then we can have the elders coming back when they are free of their busy schedule to answer all your calls, brothers and sisters. Because right today is really just having them to send the message of the year to the family worldwide as well. So that's why at the end they will send a message to the family. You know, 'cause we know we're going through this situation of pandemic or pandemic. So it is a must that we listen to our elders. It's a must that we listen to our ancestors' calling. So that is why they are representing our ancestors as well. So moving to Sister X. After you seen you heard it about the Queen, Her Majesty, you heard about Baba Smalls. What is your final conclusion? So that's why we decide to have you come to the platform to really interact, because we understand the work, the major work that you are doing here in the UK to stand to protect our family, to really work together with brothers and sisters from different cities in the UK and different corners in London. So after you saw all this, so what is your final conclusion for your closeout?
I wanted to read something to you. I wanted to read something to you. It says, "Point me to a weak nation and I will show you a people oppressed, abused, taken advantage of by others. Show me a weak race and I will show you people reduced to self-done peonage and slavery. Show me a well-organized nation and I will show you people and a nation respected by the world. The battles of the future, whether they be physical or mental, will be fought by scientific lines, and the race that is able to produce the highest scientific development is a race that will ultimately rule." That is what the Honourable Marcus Garvey said, and it resonates with everything that we've been speaking about, because not only the Western world is bankrupt right now, and they're going to be looking for a way to recover, and we too need to look for our way to recover out of this bondage that we've sat in for so many years. And when they come looking, let's not be fooled. They don't count nations that have nothing. And that is why they count and speak of Africa so much, is because we have so much. We need to remember ourselves. We need to remember who we are. And we need to look into what our brother said about any means necessary. As Professor Small said, any means necessary doesn't always mean violence. We can all seek a way that we could contribute to the struggle. We don't have to travel back to Africa to do so, as our Queen Mother said, but we can all play our part in this struggle. It is for us to take on the words of our elders, to research and to find understanding and where it resonates. I'm more than grateful. I feel empowered from this conversation. I hope anybody listening is also empowered. And I'm not only empowered by the words, I'm empowered by the journey that I can see spiritually that has taken place here. The bonding between our Queen Mother and her father, her guide, her lead. She's so, I don't know, I hold her at such high regard now. She has no ego. Ego is not something that could play a part in untangling this struggle, because not one man is going to lead us to the end, but it's going to take every single one of us to contribute. I have no ego. I don't want to be a leader, but I want to be one in the many that will fight for this release of the shackles on our necks, the shackles on our feet, and the kneel on our necks. And black power to you all, maroon power to you all. And I hope that you've taken heed to the words that were spoken here, because we are going into a time that it will test us, as we've been tested before, and we are a strong race of people. We've survived so much. We've survived genocide. And we continue to survive genocide, because that is what it is. It's genocide and murder against our people. Stand up, rise up, be counted. Silence is violence, silence is betrayal, and silence is consent.
Wow. Last words before we give go back to Professor Small, and we're gonna give the last words to Our Majesty to close out this amazing spiritual show that we're just having. So, your last words to the entire family worldwide in 1 minute. Sister Sasha X, Princess Warrior.
My last words: stand up, rise up. Africa is crying. We need to answer.
As you can see, and we move into Baba Smalls. It's such a powerful, such a great, to meet, to interact with Baba Smalls. He's also my mentor. So we're giving you the last word, Baba Smalls, to send a message of encouragement as well into our people worldwide, because we understand we're going through a lot in the United States, in Africa, in Brazil, in the UK, in Europe, we're going through a lot. But hear your words, hear your guidance, giving us that boost to say, this is not the end. We have to have our boots on the ground. If Professor Small do what he does, moving continent to continent, preach, moving brothers and sisters. So who are we as the younger generation to sit down in our computers, behind our Facebook, crying, blaming? No, y'all being our leader, and then that's why if anybody speak against Professor Smalls, they're touching the African family. If anybody speak against our Queen Mother, they're touching the family. And then we, as the young warriors, we rise up and then embody their spirits and then go putting our boots and our beret and we go into the battle. That's what we do. That's why brothers in London, they felt last week. Me and my sister X, we showed up in London with our people and we demand justice to our brothers and sisters in Angola. It was amazing. You will see the image sooner or later. So, giving the last word to Baba Smalls.
Well, the thing we must be most careful of is not to continue to try to be the white man in blackface. You know, they have a word in East Africa, even the coconut, right? The coconut is to be black and brown outside, but white inside, meaning philosophy, worldview, ideas, aspirations, concepts, principles. We cannot continue to fight to imitate what we are trying to destroy.
Okay.
And if you think you're going to be a better demon than the demon, keep trying and all you will become is just another demon. You see, waging destruction. So history, Dr. Nobles told us, the study of our history will erase our enemy's mystery. The study of our history will erase the mystery and allow you to work your miracles and your magic. And people think history, when I tell them all the time, study history, they think it's so mundane. That's not an AK-47. That's not a martial arts class learning Kung Fu. No, it's bigger than both.
Yes.
Dr. Asa Hilliard, and I'll end it with this, said true freedom is being shackled to your identity, its goal, its purpose, and its continuum. To be shackled to your identity as an African. And as our queen broke down, Africa isn't the place. It is a concept, ideas, and principle of how to be. It is a beingness. Matter of fact, Africa is the quintessential identification of what a human being should be. To be called human being. You know, like when I've heard the word Bantu mentioned a few times, the word literally means human. Being, living being. And they've even tried to make us think it's an ugly word, you know, like they did with Negro and so forth. No, let us determine the definition of our own beingness. And the way we do that is to study history and learn what it is our ancestors say we are. And then struggle to be that which they became on the first occasion. The Queen said once, we were the first of creation. I like to put it in this term, Queen. When the universe decided to manifest as human, and that's what occurred, the universe decided to manifest an aspect of itself as human, which is a replication of its totality. It did that as a black woman, and everything else proceed from there. Now, if you don't want to accept that as reality, you'll never find your way back home. That is the fundamental universal reality and phenomena that occurred. The black woman is the human manifestation of the totality of creation, which is the universe. And the rest of us have proceeded from her with the same potential if we are willing to learn and follow the laws of the universe as interpreted and discerned by our ancestors and left to us as our ethic, moral, principle guides.
Wow.
That's the bottom line.
Black
Freedom
power.
is being shackled to your identity, its purpose, its goals, and its continuum.
Okay. Professor Small, you just spoke beautifully. Before we give the last word to Our Majesty, you know, when we bring Professor Smalls, we always challenge him with the ancestors, and then we just respectfully demand him one word. So we throw names of our ancestors. We just kindly challenge him respectfully to give us one word. When we mention the name, you're gonna see in your screen. So we mention the name, and then it's just gonna have to answer with one word, only one word, Professor Small, because that's the one work we doing when we bringing you in. So we throw you ancestors. So just so you can see that we're doing our own work. We ain't stop, Professor Small. We're doing the work. So just get ready, Professor Small. One word, and we're gonna be starting. This is just a 1 minute question and answer, real quick. So we started with Professor Joseph Ben Yakinen. One word.
Give me the name again.
Professor Joseph Ben Yakinen.
Creator.
Professor John Eric Clark.
Father.
Mohammed Omar Gaddafi.
Courage.
Going back to the continent. Going on the continent. Queen Mother Winnie Mandela.
Quintessential revolutionary energy. I met her. She even kissed me on my lips and called me her revolutionary. There is no greater power, I think, in this century than Winnie Mandela, and that's why they're trying to hide her spirit from us. So we need to see she is the Nzinga of the 20th century.
Wow. Rosa Parks.
Commitment.
Harriet Tubman.
I don't know, almost like super being, the super mother, the super being.
Maya Angelou. We almost finished.
The interpreter.
Yes.
Kim Pavita. Queen Pavita.
Queen.
Kim Pavita.
Kim Pavita.
Power.
Khalid Mohammed.
Ooh.
Aspiration.
Thomas Sankara.
Oh, King.
Sankara.
Yes, Thomas Sankara.
Oh, God.
Oh, we give you names.
Humility.
Dream. I got to meet him just a few months, 2 months before he died, and to talk with him. He dreamt of the possibility of a free Africa as being just real. So I says, a dream of reality. He knew it could be a reality, and he dreamt of it, and then tried to act and implement it. And they took his body, but his spirit is still in Burkina Faso. It's still there fighting. They could never take that out because that was there before the body came to house it and was designed as Thomas Gonzalez. Thomas.
Wow. Last but not least, obviously, we still got this name, but we have to give Patrice Lumumba.
Integrity. He couldn't be bought. He couldn't be frightened. Integrity. They offered him the power. No. They offered him the money. No. They offered him everything that others had given into, and instead he preferred freedom or death. The mantra of destiny. Freedom or death.
So we
and
got
the Congo right now, Patrice Lumumba, they cut his body up, they burnt it, they did all of the ugly things. But that batch of mineral only housed for a time a body. Once you kill it, you've destroyed the ecology for Patrice Lumumba to live in. So Patrice Lumumba lives now in Diambi, the Queen. Patrice Lumumba lives in the many young people who are trying to change that Congo. Patrice Lumumba live in the elders who support those young people. That is the spirit of the divine African that no one can kill. And he was the epitome of that spirit at a time when colonialism and imperialism was at its worst. And one man says, I got the courage to stand up against you.
Wow. And
he did.
Professor Small, obviously, thank you, my brother. We can't let you go without having a word, direct word, to this amazing spirit that we have in here. None other than Her Majesty, Queen Diambi Kabatuswila. Say what you have to say, Professor Small.
Thank you for giving me last word.
No, Majesty. Is Professor Small to give a word for you, Professor Small? We want a answer, a word. When you think about Queen Diambi Kabatuswila, what comes to your mind, Professor James Small?
The future. You know.
So,
see, I've seen her. I know her. I see her. And she is the future.
Wow. Brothers and sisters, as you can see, next time when we have Professor Small, we're going to throw him more answers his name. Just so you understand as well. We still got a lot. We didn't even talk about Malcolm X. We didn't talk about, we got a lot. So, but just remained. And then you're going to answer questions. So, brothers and sisters, we're giving the last word to Our Majesty to close this amazing show. So, Majesty, take your time. I already told the DJ, it's a law. You have to wait until you finish talk. That's a law. So you can't be coming here. So you stay there, brother. So the floor is yours, Majesty. The floor is yours.
Thank you, my son. Well, there is nothing much to say after following my young daughter in her talk and what she said to conclude, as well as my own father, Tatu Small, who's been, my mentor for many, many years now, a couple of decades, I would say. There is nothing much I want to add to that because I think everything has been said. But one thing that I want to just stress on the point that when we talk about knowledge and we have to remember that we are the sapiens. So people who don't know, almost sapiens mean the man who thinks. So we are the sapiens. So we have to remember that thinking and our capability to understand and see the reality and devise a path is our biggest strength. So think. And of course, our thinking needs to be fed by information and the right information. And that's why I commend and I commend all the elders that have come before me on whose shoulders I stand to be the queen I am today, because I am not a queen of my own making that just sprung out from the ground up. I am standing on the shoulders of my ancestors and also all the ancestors who have come to open my eyes. Meaning, if you want to know who you are, you have to first take one step. And that step is to say, I challenge everything I know. And every information that I will get, I will put it to the test of wisdom. Wisdom will be, does that serve life? Does that serve my life? Does that serve my community's life or not? If it passed the test of wisdom, then you can accept and adopt that knowledge to improve your thinking about who you are. So that means that everything they taught us, we have to be able and have the courage, as it was mentioned by some of our elders, to challenge it. Do not be afraid to challenge anything they gave us, because the information they fed us for thousands of years now has been information to alter our ability to be the sapiens that we are, to be the thinking human that we are. And while we don't have the ability to think clearly, we cannot devise solutions for our problems. So this is really the thing that I really would like to leave you all with, is that stand up, like my young sister and daughter said, stand up, be courageous, and inspire yourself from those who before you showed that they were fighters and they were standing for the truth. And you can inspire yourself from there and start from you first. Start to build your home first. Then you can be of service to others. Then you can wear your crown, because your crown is only say one thing: help desk. So you can, all these queens, you wanna be queen. No, queen is not something that is for glamour. A queen is somebody that said, I will negate my own personal need to put my life forth so that I can elevate everybody that's going to be on my path. That's what queendom means. Thank you.
Wow. So, what we're going to do, obviously, oh great, it's Professor Small came back. So what we're going to do, we're going to be close out with the 1 minute silence again, and then you're going to be see a picture of some of our great ancestors again, so you understand the message. The message being really, like seriously, it's really a powerful show. It's really. I want to thank Majesty for this teaching. I want to thank Baba Smalls for always being there for us as a younger generation. I want to thank obviously our warrior princess Sasha X to having the time to be here, having this conversation as well. But especially obviously this is a village, and then we're just here to follow your command. Majesty, we just here to follow your command, Baba Smalls. That's all. So I hear in no ego is really about just the understanding that they're still building a legacy while they're still alive. It's our responsibility to then having the conversation with the elders and then really seek that knowledge and that wisdom. Peace and blessings, and then we're going to be we're going to be playing this quick slide of all of our ancestors. Then we're going to be ending with the slideshow picture of our Majesty being coronated as the Queen Mother of the people in Brazil, and obviously receiving the crown of our great Queen Nzinga. That's what we're going to be ending. But just as you stay there for 1 minute, I want this our special guest to stay there. We're going to be now starting the 1 minute silence with this amazing beat. And then the minute silence starts now. We finally came to the end of our show. So one more time, thank you, brothers and sisters, for this amazing show. Leave your comment. Leave your. Obviously, we've been doing this show's been transmitted live from every platform: Facebook, YouTube. Our guests, they're going to be receiving the link as well. Shout out to our brothers and sisters in Jamaica, Brazil, Angola, Congo, South Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, Ethiopia. What else? Portugal. They've been sending me a message. What else? Obviously, UK. Our brothers and sisters in the United States. I don't want to mention the all states. Shout out to our brothers and sisters in Kenya too. Brothers and sisters in Gambia. Brothers and sisters in Namibia. I was there. They love our show. Ooh. So, but that's a final requirement. People in Angola, they pressurized me, say they need to see Baba Smalls and Queen, Her Majesty Queen Diambi in Angola. So, brothers and sisters, obviously this pandemic didn't make it possible for us to be there this year, but according with their schedule, they will find a way. Maybe next year or the year after, then they will come to pay a visit to the Angola people, to the sons and daughters of Queen Zinga. So, thank you and keep it up. And the group will be shut, but if you can talk, we're not gonna be able to hear anyway. But I'm just gonna disconnect myself through this call, but you can still talk to finalize the conversation. So I'm just disconnect myself from the group. That's all. So you can still talk. Yes, brothers and sisters. Wow. So we're going to be playing that video, obviously. We're going to be playing this video of Her Majesty in Brazil. Where's the video? I don't even know if we got the video, but if we do, we're going to play. So let me make sure if we got the video. If we do have the video, we will play. I promise you. If not, we will be closing with the. Oh, there we go. I think we got it. Let me just see. Let me just see. If we got the video, we're definitely going to be playing. Okay, brothers and sisters, the video is right here, and we're definitely going to be playing this video. It's just for you to see Her Majesty in Brazil. We got the video, yes, we do. The royal visits. Just look, pay attention to it. It's a quick video. It's about, let me see. It's about 8 minutes. So, watch the video. The royal visit of Her Majesty in Brazil. Instead of ending with the slide, we played the slide, but we're going to be also playing this amazing video to highlight the visit of Her Majesty in our African land. Because remember, Brazil is just an extension of Africa. It's totally our nation. That's why we're going to be playing this video. And remember, let me just make sure everything's okay. Yes, we're going to be playing that. And remember one thing. Radio Diamond is every week here for you to bring in the best of ourselves. With one simple mouse, we're connecting families, brothers, sisters, loved ones. With one simple click. We got all the technology. Because this is a radio and TV at the same time. And we give it to you in all level. So that's why we don't rely on Mark Zuckerberg. We're doing our own thing. We tell our own history. We don't need no BBC. We don't need no CNN. We're doing ourselves. Audio and visually. Just watch this. Her Majesty in Brazil. And then we're going to come in right back. And then we're going to close in with a slide. Watch this. Yes, brothers and sisters. As you can see, now we're closing our show with this beautiful slide of Her Majesty Queen Diambi Kabatuswila represent the African nation worldwide. So, peace and blessings to you. Peace and blessings to the family. And remember, this is not to do with emotion. This is about spirit. This is a spiritual fight. It ain't just about the physical, but it's a spiritual fight to liberate our people worldwide. I'm your brother. I'm your prince. I'm your soldier. I'm your rebel. Alpha Kwabo, spiritual son of Queen Zinga. We represent the kingdom. Black power, goddammit. And then I'll leave you with this slide of Her Majesty, and then we're closing our show. Thank you. I'll see you on the flip side.
Oh, my African girl, can I know you better? Can I put the ring on your finger? Tell you you're the one for me, oh. I know the other boys don't want you, but girl, I need you. Cause you make me feel like a man. Girl, I hope you understand me. Girl, I want you all like that. I am Melanie Papi, no. Oh, baby, come be my lady. Check out my love, baby. Don't be late. So African woman, you are sexy. So African woman, she is sweet. African woman, you beautiful. And if she give me her love, you give her me return. African woman, would you marry me, baby? Would you marry me, baby? Would you marry me, baby? Please marry me, baby. I'm on you. Say I go follow like zombie, oh. So I'm on you. Say I go pay like it done you. So baby, can I be your mister? Can I be bad man musician? And if you wanna know where I come from, I be bad boy from Port Harcourt. She says she don't need the maraba, love more. She no man, she go find me come beggar, to do beggar, love more. Why she no want the money? I wonder. She said love with the flow, like wonder. I love the ways in the road, oh, why not? You my love, can you be my love? 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 So African woman, you are sexy. So African woman, she is sweet. African woman, you beautiful. And if she give me her love, you give her the return. African woman, you marry me, baby. You marry me, baby.
If you guys want to know what I do when I'm not running around in planes and going to different countries to talk about Africa and all the good things about the movement of Renaissance of Africa, I watch Black Eyes TV 7 to get information and I'll be entertained, so please do the same.